Oh, turn off the fucking.
Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course with me is Mr. Bobby Blunts and Mr. your boy K Witt, holding the freshly newborn baby, holding down all the whole fort. Boys, what a weekend we have coming in the world of combat sports. We have UFC Noche starting off tomorrow, and then that'll lead us obviously into the boxing event of the year, Canelo versus Crawford. But before we get into what was what's coming tomorrow, and again, sorry for the few days delayed. Daughter had a basketball game, so we postponed the show for two days later to tonight. But we got to look back at this past weekend because it kind of the UFC Paris kind of bleeds into this card. We had the Fighting Nerds, obviously, this Saturday. Tomorrow night's card is the Fighting Nerd John Silva's on this card. And the Nerds are on quite the skid last Saturday, Bobby, as they went 0-2 in Paris. As Caio, I'll give you the floor, Bobby, because I know you got a lot to say about Caio Baharo. First, as he loses, and so does Rufy. But I'll give you the floor first, Bobby, to tell us about Mr. Caio Baharo.
I mean, don't need to gloat too much. If Caio is who I thought he was. I've been told for years that this guy is a championship contender. And, I get it. People see him getting certain finishes here and there, so we're going to do that. But I thought people were out their damn mind, Vegas included, for thinking that he was going to beat Imavov. Imavov is just faster, more skilled in every aspect. And we saw that on Saturday, even with Imavov being injured with a foot injury, he still got it done and was just way ahead of him. Caio, I don't want to say he fought poorly, but I don't really know what other, verb to use. His shitty game plan, could not counter to save his life, had really no momentum the entire time. He picked it up in the fifth a little, but, I guess it's fair to bring up the weight cut because he looked very sluggish. I don't think it really would have made a difference in whether or not he could have won the fight or not. You give me that fight 10 times, I think Imavov is walking out of there 10 times. There was a very evident skill gap, at least when I was watching it there. I thought Caio was just very sloppy with his shots, wasn't putting too much into him. About all he could really do was put Imavov up against the fence, but he could not get the takedown, went 0 for 10, eventually just ended up abandoning it. And I don't think he ever really picked up on Imavov striking. If I could say anything critical about Imavov, he seemed to definitely wait a little bit too much. Against Chimaev, that will absolutely be a problem. But we're not talking about Chimaev. We're solely talking about Caio Baharo, the guy that wants to be known as the smartest fighter with the best game plan. And I'm sorry, you might want some earmuffs, baby. But that was just a shitty fucking performance from Caio Baharo. 2 thumbs down for me. And I don't ever want to hear about him being a title contender until he puts together some activity and some wins.
Woo! Yeah, I mean, I told you on last week's show that I was worried about Caio cutting the weight twice In fact, Sean Strickland even said like Kyle was there and he didn't do shit because he cut the weight twice, and what an idiot. So Sean Strickland's calling you an idiot. I feel like there's some problems there.
And how great is it on a Monday morning that everyone in America actually had to agree with Sean Strickland? Just comical.
100%. I don't agree with a lot of what Sean Strickland said, but I did agree with that. And you're right, Kyle. Look, what up, Steezy? And Easy. They looked awful. You know what I mean? He looked awful. Couldn't get going. Looked just out of sorts. And Imanov looked faster, like you said, couldn't counter. That fight wasn't even close. They kept giving a round. Somebody on the broadcast kept saying that Kyle won a round. I couldn't figure out which round he won. I had it 5-0 for Imanov.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it, a lot of the commentary was doing that work to make it appear closer because, it looked like there was a decent chance it was probably going to decision. But for someone that makes a point of being over-prepared, I did not see it at all here. I don't know if it was too much media, the weight cut, just complete. He didn't take it seriously, in my opinion. Like he didn't Brian battle his way out of it, But in the cage, he seemed like he was just on autopilot to lose the entire time.
Yeah. Wait, your thoughts there on the main event and the no-show that was Kaio? You're muted.
Oh, yeah. So, for me, I was excited to see what it was going to look like to have him fight, I think, right after a year off.
Yeah, a year off.
But in that year's time, it looked as though the fun that you have as an MMA fighter took over. You know what I mean? The hunger that you have as an unknown, least well-known, not top 5 guy, I think kind of crept in on him and took over a little bit. Like you guys said, the weight cut, I think definitely had an effect on what took place. But for sure, Imamov was had one of those game plans where he's just that slow where I can counter. He got countered so much, more than usual. And not just your regular average everyday, jab or something. He was getting like uppercut and head kick like nobody's business. He pulled out the kit. Now, just in the end, when I guess maybe they had a conversation about it, he pulled out a calf kick in like the 4th round. And I think that kind of equalized Imamov because, like he said, at the end of the fight, he felt something pop. So he might have, got an Achilles or something like that. But the strategy part that we always hear so much about for fighting nerds and their preparation and how they go into each and every one of these events, especially a main event, I felt like it wasn't there. It wasn't the same type of game plan. And I'm not saying that they didn't plan, but we all heard Mike Tyson say it on numerous occasions. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And that literally went out the window for him. But Imamov, historically took out Izzy, which is why I got this baby named Israel right here. So I am not afraid to say that he's just the better skilled fighter at this time for sure.
Yeah, he was the one that went in with the preparation, like what Kyle was talking about. Imanov, lived that and showed that.
Right, and Imanov really went in there and executed, and that's normally what we know the fighting nerds for is the execution. And Kyle, in any of those fights we've seen, he looks pretty good at the executing, but I don't know if it was because Imamov was that good. There was a couple of nut checks in there, you know what I mean? That kind of slowed it down a little bit. But
I would have took a point as well for the eye poke, but Imamov clearly still would have won the fight.
Yeah, the eye poke, kind of threw it off a little bit, but by that 2 rounds was already. By that time, he had already run 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So it would not have factored in too much. But like you said, even if he would have got a point, Imamov still was up at 3 rounds by that time too.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this. Bobby, I'll start with you. Did Imanov do enough to secure the next man up, or do we need to wait to see what happens with RDR and Fluffy Hernandez?
See, this is a bizarre one for me because, off resume, absolutely. I don't think anyone has a more impressive win streak right now that would be a title contender. I mean, maybe if you don't include Islam, look at any other current title contenders resume, and it'd be pretty hard to stack up. However, when Dana White announced the Ruffy and RDR, he made very clear that they were going to use both of these fights. Now, if Amanov blanked him in the second round, do I think they would have pivoted? No, I think they would have. That fight is in October upcoming, and I think they're just going to kind of use the house money and, have everything to their advantage. If the question is, do I think he deserves it? Absolutely. Like, it's not even close. He didn't even need to fight Kaio for this. He should have already earned it off that. And then he still fought down and beat this fucking clown. So, he will be next. It's the wild thing, though, out of this whole thing, though I do want him to fight for the title next, I also really want to see him fight Dricus. Because what I saw in there, I absolutely think he can beat Dricus. I think he's better than Dricus. I think it's a shame that Dricus lost the title, and that is not going to be the fight afterwards. But, Chimaev's the guy, so that's the one he's going to have to beat. Do the UFC wait and kind of hope that RDR or Fluffy put something nicer out there to possibly leapfrog him, so they don't have to do Dagestani on Dagestani? I can completely see it. Me, I want the best to fight the best. So that should be Imanov challenging Chimaev.
Yeah, I told you going in last week that they needed a finish. Imanov didn't get the finish. And I still believe that if RDR or Fluffy go in there and they get some sort of flash knockout or even finish the other person quickly, I think that they would leapfrog. I think they would leapfrog Imanov and they would put him in the title fight because, like, that's kind of the stamp. The stamp, much like Lerone Murphy, right? Like we just saw this happen with Lerone. Like he got the stamp with the flash knockout. I think if Fluffy or RDR go in there and they do that to one another, that probably puts the stamp on them to hurdle over. And if I'm Imanov, though, obviously you're trying to politic for the title fight, and I agree. His resume says that he's good enough. In fact, I probably would have said his resume was good enough, like you said, over Chimaev before DDP to take on DDP, but that didn't happen. Beats Kyle pretty easily. I like it. I think that if it's not the title fight, he probably should fight DDP or the loser of the Fluffy and RDR fight. What's your thoughts here? Did Imanov do enough to you to secure a title spot?
I think so, man. But just like you kind of alluded to, even in the sense of securing a title fight, there's got to be a number one contender eliminator, possibly against DDP, because of course, if what we think is going to happens, where somehow, some way we get Fluffy involved, Chimaev beats Fluffy, and then somehow, some way nothing else takes place.
They don't like that fight.
For some reason my child decides to scream at random. But the point is,
he's demanding that they give Imavov the title shot. That's what he's screaming.
I think that's what it is. But I honestly think that there will be this will be the last hurdle that Imavov will have When he fought Israel, I thought that was a good chance for him to kind of catapult his way into the realm of being a title contender. This kind of just solidifies it. But now, as the year goes on into the twilight, we get into 2026 for the UFC calendar. What will happen? Where will Chimaev land? Can Fluffy do it? I don't know, but I really feel like more than likely, if we get a UFC 2026, one of the first ones, he'll probably be on it, and it'll be him and DDP for the title elimination.
Go ahead, Bobby.
And the main thing I want to articulate is that whether he gets it next or not, I think he's done enough to ensure his next fight will be for the title. If he does not get it, I'm not fighting anyone again. I'm waiting for the result of that and then going there, because I think he's done enough. And legitimately, I'll save my pick for the fight, but I'm expecting Fluffy and RDR to also be a split decision. So if you look at it through that aspect, if they both go to decision, I think he should obviously get it there. But it's really just going to come down to, I guess, how that fight ends, or if they're able to put something on. The UFC is in a really good position with this, because they got a division that always looked old at the top, and now they got these new guys coming in, a former champion from one in the mix, and a guy on an insane fight win streak. So and knowing how high we all are on Chimaev, the answer might just eventually be all three of them. I think and that's it would not shock me at all if Fluffy does something fantastic. They still book Amanov, but I do agree that most likely Fluffy or RDR does have a chance to possibly leapfrog, even though it's not what I would want to happen. I'd prefer to see Amanov just get the shot. But especially with how they already had the disclaimer of we're waiting for both these fights anyways, I think the UFC is just going to wait till October.
Yeah, I thought the crowd in Paris was the absolute star. I watching back-to-back weekends of Clash at the Paris or whatever it was on WWE, and then the UFC event. But the non-star, maybe the worst performance of the weekend, was Mauricio Ruffy. He absolutely looked like a fish out of water. BSD just took him down and finished him in the second round. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even a competitive fight, Bobby. Obviously, people were very high on this. Rufi said he was the best of the fight nerds. If that's their best, by God, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on the worst performance on the card. I do still think that goes to Kaio, because Kaio's their supposed
No,
I'll finish this and you'll understand why. He literally, he's their leader. He shit his pants. Rufi, we knew if he got taken down, this was going to be BSD's fight. So was it daunting that he had no answer for it? Yes. However, I didn't expect him to have an answer on the ground. I expected
he couldn't even get up. That was the thing. He didn't even have an answer to get up.
And I fully expected him not to get up. The reason I picked Rufi initially is I thought he'd just be able to stand on his feet with the stance and avoid the takedown. But I knew if he got put down, it was going to be a short night, because it was actually comical when I heard the Joe Rogan Fight Companion, and Rogan was trying to tell everyone that Rufi had insane grappling. And I was like, he has to be talking about one of the other ones, getting him confused. The only one that Kyle doesn't really count because he's bigger and he's already done it. The only one of them that has passed the question on the grappling test is fighting this weekend. Because he actually had a difficult opponent that is very well grappling based, and he was able to, withstand that and get the knockout.
No,
But
submitted him. I thought. Didn't he submit Bryce? I thought he submitted him.
oh yeah, you're right. He did the yeah, because it
Choked him
turned
out.
into that. He turned into that meme, and which is even more impressive when you know figured he would probably just put him down. But the second he took him down like that, I knew I made the wrong pick, and this was going to be a short night. And credit to BSD for just keeping him on his back, not getting frustrated. Like even when Rufy made he was able to reverse him and get top position, and he immediately just got up. He didn't want there to be any scenario, and you know, personally, I think he should have just stalled on him and laid on him and tried to create damage. But it just shows you if he immediately got up like that, he was worried about BSD's guard too. So, you know, credit to BSD for really figuring it out.
Two
Obviously,
nice bounce back wins here by BSD.
yeah, but this one was a much more impressive bounce back win. Where the previous performance, it almost I had more questions after it than I got answers. But you know, this kind of solidifies it. Like, let's see where he can go. Give me the Gamrot matchup next or something. I think that stylistically would be fun on both sides. But you know, I think the overall takeaway for me, and for now we will remove John Silva from this, but I do think those three guys are decent fighters that can win and, you know, beat a top 15 guy, maybe a top 12 guy, but I don't think any of them are beating these top 5 guys. And did I just foreshadow something with the Leon Pratis matchup? You'll have to wait a few months to find out about that. But I personally have always thought, like, if one of them was going to challenge, like, for the title, it would be the guy that's fighting this Saturday in John Silva. Whether it's just his the way he acts, or he has the most kind of polished resume. Because, like, say what you will about Bryce Mitchell, he is someone that is very dangerous in the grappling. And you saw both Fluffy and Pratis just kind of both look like fish out of waters. I mean, Ian was able to, you know, put that on him for 4 rounds.
At least in Pratis fight against Ian, like, he had moments where he looked good at the end. Mauricio Rufy didn't look good at all on Saturday. Like, just like he should have been fighting on the undercard.
Yeah, no. And so if you want to go worst loss for a fighting nerd, I'll accept that. But worst performance of the night still goes to Kyle Bahara.
What about you, Whit? Your thoughts on Mauricio Rufy I thought not even showing up. I mean, you know, kudos to BSD. I don't want to take anything away from him. He handled business, but everybody was so high on Rufy, and he didn't like. The fight wasn't even competitive.
Yeah, man, it was slated to be a fight that could have contended for like a main event on a fight night or something like that. So I too was disappointed while watching, but then I got a chance to like rewatch it. Somewhere in that first round is like I feel like it's like a body kick, maybe to like right. It looked like it landed right up under where your rib cage starts at, and everybody's kind of like, "Oh, Rufy shook it off." But right after that, like, he's no longer in the same place mentally to do the fighting that he was planning on. I think the shot hurt him more, Benoit Saint-Denis, and then kind of as we get into the, you know, the crux of like the second round, bro, he just didn't have any more. It was all taken out of him with that body shot. For real, you know, the worst tie for the worst fighting nerd loss. Yeah, I'll put a tie on it. I know Bobby's got a special place in his heart for Kyle Berharlo. That's why he's basically saying that the Berharlo loss was the worst, but Rufy was up there. Benoit Saint-Denis, if y'all remember, guys, 3 fights ago, we thought he was washed. We thought he had gotten to the top of where he was going to be. But he had some really tough losses. But to see Benoit Saint Denis come in, kind of dust itself off and bounce back, you know what I mean? Because
What up, Vaughn?
of course, Moicano, all right, that's something different. Dustin Poirier, that's something different too. But to see these last two wins, Benoit Saint Denis, especially at home in Paris, like I think he's headed up on the upswing. And sometimes it takes tough losses. We've been watching this sport long enough to know sometimes we can't count a guy out too early. We may have just been doing exactly that with Benoit Saint Denis. So I was happy to see him get the win. I thought it would have been a different kind of fight, but like you said, hey, look, he and the thing is, the choke was slipping from around his neck up to his face. It turned into like it almost
Face crank, more or less.
Yeah, it was more of a face crank. It looked like close to what Chimaev did to our boy. You know what I mean? So
it seemed like I want to get out of there tap out.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that's the whole thing was he had gotten his neck from up under the choke, which is the main thing. Get your neck out of there, and then I guess it's a possibility that he was getting squeezed even tighter, and he just gave in. BSD had a game plan and executed. I think that BSD saw the opportunity and executed. I don't even think that was a part of his game plan. I think he was probably ready to do way more coming into this fight, and which is why when he got the opportunity to go for the neck and end it, he was all over it. But big shouts out to Benoit Saint Denis, man. This happens to fighters sometimes. You take those 1-2 tough losses, you get on the main card of a pay-per-view, and you flip the script. You change the whole narrative, and in front of your home crowd of all things as well.
Yeah. What a year it was, like 365. He got his ass beat by Moicano a year ago in Paris, and then comes back a year later and gets the nice win. I do like the Gamrot call out, Bobby. I think Dan Hooker or somebody like that would be a fun one too, as well. So I like both of those stylistic fights. Let's move into this weekend. You mentioned John Silva, the Fighting Nerds back in action. It is John Silva versus Diego Lopez. Lopez coming off that title loss against Volk a couple months ago. Earlier this year, John Silva has been on a run, and he's getting his highest profile fight, main event here at the UFC Noche in San Antonio. This card, I don't know how I feel about it. Not the depth, the deepest card of cards, but a decent card at best. And it's kind of, to me, the preliminary, early prelims to me to get into the Canelo and Crawford fight. So I guess you can say you got combat sports all day into the late nights, because this is an early card start time. But there's a couple other fighters on there. Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, way down on this card. You got Rob Font fighting David Martinez. Fat Kevin Gastelum missed weight again, 5 pounds at 185. Just cut him today. Just get rid of fatty. Him and what's the other guy? The guy they just cut. His name's escaping me. Bobby, what was his name?
Brian Battle.
Brian Battle. Yeah, him and Battle can go fight for the heavyweight title in the PFL. But Bobby, I'll start with you here. Your thoughts here on just the card as a whole, and then end on the main event.
Well, it's wild because there is absolutely no way for me to talk about this card as a whole without getting into the boxing. And I'm not going to mention anything about the actual fight of the boxing breaking down. I know we're saving that for later. But you have not now gone, like, just for how surreal this is. Like, Noche was always like Dana White's pet project. Like,
right. We were at the Spear last year. Remember that?
Yeah.
Spear.
And he loved the fact that he was, putting it on for Mexican independence. The first one was free, and it was a fight night. Last year was a pay-per-view. Now they're going back to the fight night. but they're not going back to the fight night so the Mexican people don't have to pay for it. No, we've gone from I am not afraid to go head to head with Canelo to, oh, I'm sorry, we won't have a pay-per-view in September. We'll move up our start time so we are not going head to head with boxing. That is so fucking wild. Like, if you ever want to show how much Turkey Al Sheikh just has all these motherfuckers by their balls, look no further than Exhibit A. I mean, you had Max Kellerman coming out of retirement to just straight up bootleg and bootlick the most narcissistic thing, acting like Dana White is going to save boxing. I loved how Canelo checked him on that. But there are some good fights on this Noche card. Don't get me wrong, but they're not coming with their heat. The main event, absolutely. Like, this is the main event we want to see. I had no issues with it. Obviously, Rojas Jr. fell out, so, you know, they were hoping to put him on the co-main event with Rob Font. So it did lose some stuff, but it definitely feels like the Noche is more in the side. And,
Facts,
you know,
facts.
And
So,
yeah, we will absolutely get down to that when we're actually breaking down the I assure you, that's like almost my entire breakdown of the Canelo card. But as far as Diego and John Silva, this is a huge fight for the division. I know that Diego just lost to Volk, so you would not think a win next would propel him to title.
No, he actually said Larone's next for Volk. He thinks Larone's next.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty justified. You know, with that finish, he probably will be next. But John Silva does have a interesting chance to possibly, like, if anyone's gonna shake it up, I think it might be him. You know, just with the barking and with me saying this, I do think Lerone should be next. I mean, granted, they're going to drag their feet with Mosavar. That would have been my first choice, but you know, now Murphy has put himself in position to do that. So, but like John Silva, you figure that he's going to be going for a finish the entire time, and you look at Diego's last performance with Volk, and I made it no secret on the post-fight that I thought he had the worst game plan to deal with Volkanovski. And that's going to be my biggest question for me. Did he learn from that? Is he going to switch anything up because of that? Because I do think Silva can kind of use that same game plan that Volk did. Now, granted, it's similar reach because of that. So is Diego... He normally presses forward a lot. I don't think he's going to have to, Silva's going to have to worry about him coming to him. So stylistically, that's the thing that's so interesting to me. Like, is Diego's chin going to hold up? He does get into these firefights. And
I think it's going to be a car crash. I really do. I think,
yeah,
I think both these guys push forward, you know. And both these guys, you know, and you made the point, Bobby, about the card itself, you know, and to like go back all the way back, like the first UFC Noche. Remember, it wasn't even on. It was like on ESPN2, but it was like on ESPN Deportes or something. Like you could only get the Spanish version, and that was Grasso Shevchenko 1. And then last year we had it at the Sphere, right? This was like the Mexican love letter, and like you said, like they were supposed to have this card at UFC Guadalajara. That arena didn't get done. Now it's moved to San Antonio, and it is just like it's very under the radar. You can tell they're not really pushing it like they pushed it in the last 2 years. So it's interesting to me. And really, if you think about it, I saw a meme. It was like UFC Noche. Where it's more Brazilian than Mexican fighters fight, you know, about the independence of Mexico. Whit, your thoughts here on the card itself, and then in the main event.
Man, you know, I'm pretty much with Bobby, man. You said that for the majority, dog. Like to look back And we kind of do this on everything. You know, we look back at previous fight nights. You know, we look back at previous international fight week. We look at that and we go, wow, last year was this. Look at this year's card. This is stacked. They're still kind of anticipating. I'm not going to say that UFC dropped the ball, but they're doing their best to bring that international flair 2 times in a row, which I think is hard to kind of say, okay, let's bring the second nations fighters in here. Because don't get me wrong, the French fighters last weekend did great. I think, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they like 5-0?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they bought.
Yeah, French fighters last week did 5-0. So it's kind of interesting to see if the Hispanic or Mexican fighters can reproduce the same way. Now, as far as like the venue and the billing, yeah, bro. Like, we went to the Sphere and we got a show. The Sphere to me last year almost was the co-main event. You know what I mean?
That was the main event. That was the main event.
That was like last year. The Sphere was the main event, dog. Like the videos, the spectacle, the way the arena ambiance like changed every 2 fights. Like, for me, it's kind of a letdown to get what we're getting this time, but that means the fights better be smoking. And you guys are completely right. The agreement, I would think, is that Dana's got to get on a plane by like before the.
Oh, he's not even there. He's not going there.
Yeah,
he's staying in Vegas.
No way.
Yeah.
He hasn't been at any presser, anything. It's been Sean Shelby.
Yeah, no, he was in Vegas. He was in Vegas at the weigh-in, at the face-off. So
he's at the boxing. He's not at the UFC. He's not in San Antonio.
Yeah, and just like you said, this is kowtowing, the ultimate kowtowing, because the way that they want to set it up is for you to watch it. All right, okay, and then for those who don't have it, to go and buy Netflix. And for those whose people's subscriptions that went out, the Netflix subscriptions are going to skyrocket. And they're going to go, see, this is what we're talking about. This is what we can have all the time. And this is what we're going to have at Paramount, wink, wink, when we move the UFC to Paramount.
Over under 10.5 commercials for Canelo Crawford during UFC Noche.
Over.
Yeah, he smashed the over.
Over 10.5? You think so? You think probably every fight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna ask how many fights on the card. Add one more probably to that. Not only that, like in the corner of the screen,
yes, that's
probably have some shit popping up.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
If you took a shot every time they mentioned Canelo Crawford or saw the sign Canelo Crawford in the screen, you wouldn't even be able to make it to Canelo Crawford.
Listen,
and not only that, this is technically cross promoting. The thing they claim they don't do, and it's why they, couldn't do it to like facilitate Francis in the PFL. Like, I know it's all under TKO, but I mean, these are pretty baffling times to watch the hypocrisy with certain things.
You guys, I'm about to say, you guys haven't been to the UFC website lately, then, have you?
It's on there right now?
Yeah, it's on there. It's on the lower third of the website. When you click on something, that's the first thing that happened. I'm like, so, okay, yeah, this is big. That's how big the business is. Dana said, yeah, put it on the bottom of my screen.
They're literally loaning out Anik to call the Canelo fight.
Yeah.
And instead of having him on Noche, like, we're going to take our best guy and send him over there. I mean, if you asked me if this was possible 5 years ago, I would have said no way.
Yeah.
It's just wild to see.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, money talks. Bobby, I'll start with you. Who you got here in the main event?
I've actually gone back and forth on it a few times. When it got booked, I was easily definitely Diego Lopez. He'll find a way to get it done. And then I had to rewatch that Volk fight. I don't know why, because you knew it was going to do my confidence in him. And now I'm just so up in the air because, like, the things that I had issues with in that fight, I think Silva could absolutely take advantage of. But then again, like, Diego just instantly went back to selling this motherfucker for me. Like, the two of them, like, interacting all week
A
and
lot
stuff.
of heat
Yeah.
all week.
And,
Yeah.
and it went so under the radar because everything was just saturated more with Canelo. And I think Diego does know he's focused, and this is, kind of his way back in. But at the same time, I do think John Silva is that one guy that could absolutely be on the short list to fight for the title. So you described it perfectly. I think it's going to be a car crash, and it's going to come down to whoever gets it first. I do think there's a chance that Diego's chin might actually hold up from these initial shots. And if that's the case, I would probably take him in the long run. So true 50-50. By the time the fight happens, I might flip-flop on it again. But I'm going to take Diego here.
Yeah, real quick before you go, I gotta mention Yoel Romero making his BKFC debut, and just like we all expected, he murdered a man. So
yeah, he was like minus 2,100.
It was 2,500. Yeah, 2,500 or something. Yeah,
baffling.
Yeah, who signed up? That guy. Hopefully, that guy is going to be okay. I mean, just one body shot, and the guy's already looking for his mouthpiece. I just saw the highlight real quick. Wits, what about you? Who do you like here in this main event?
Yeah. So for me, bro, I am always in that vein of, hey, I just took a loss to the champ. What did I learn from that? What can I replicate that I did good? What can I take out of my game that I did bad? And did, and out of respect, did the champ tell me something that to improve what I'm doing? I like Diego Lopez in this one, but don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to be as much of a car. When we say car crash, car crash means it ends in the second round. To me, I think this is going to go all the way. But I think points wise, Diego has the upper hand. As we've seen him be in compromising situations and come out of them. For me, John Silva himself is the equation in which, how do you neutralize wrestling or mat control or top control all the time? That is where you add in Diego Lopez. I feel like the two kind of even themselves out, but I give the slight edge to Diego for sure. Now, as the match goes on, if Diego is not asserting himself, Silva is definitely the person to close a fight out in the closing rounds if you slip up and make a mistake. But once again, as a whole, I'm gonna roll with Diego Lopez, man. I really feel like, losing to the champ, gaining that respect, learning from your mistakes is always a big deal. Lopez hasn't quite done that yet, but that mustache is wild too on Diego. So I'm wondering, what I'm saying, if he's trying to be a little more rugged for a reason. He used to be the Brazilian pretty boy, but now if he's out here growing facial hair and getting all Motley Crue with it, then I gotta go with him on this one, dog. So Diego for the win, but Diego by split decision.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an absolute car crash. I think these two, both these guys push forward. It's going to be a fun fight. I don't know, because Diego likes to stand and beg, like Bobby said. Like these guys both like to fight. I mean, they will go to the ground, but they both love to just be in these wildfires. And Diego will get in there. I think he will learn from that Volk fight. I just think there's a little bit levels, and Volk's kind of been there and done all that. and this is, you know, Silva's biggest test to date. As good as Bryce is, I feel like, you know, Diego's better. So this is a big step up for Silva here. I'm going with give me Diego Lopez, baby. I got him on the MMA fantasy team too as well. So
Dog, we just killed Diego. All three of us are picking him. Oh shit.
Yeah, I you know, the rest of the card again. I mean, Rob Font's on the card, so that's not too bad. Interesting, just some interesting names. Jared Gordon on this card as well, taking on Rafa Garcia. Gordon's a decent favorite here. Diego Fierra's on this card. He's, you know, up and comer on the lightweight. So there's a couple names here, you know, kind of to keep your eye on as well. But we'll move from the MMA world to the boxing world. To me, this is Crawford. You know, Canelo versus Crawford is. If I had to say, Canelo versus Crawford finishes is the biggest boxing fight since what? Since when, Bobby?
I mean, with all these other ones, it's really hard to say because there's so many super fights now. Like, I would almost have to lean one of the Bivol matchups. But then again, I almost think back to Crawford Spence, probably. Like, when you're talking about, like, kind of the best fighting the best.
I think even not even just the best fighting the best, but, like, culture-wise or, like, you know, outsider-wise. Because you could say, like, Vichorol Bivol, but I don't think most casual people in the world know who those two are.
I'm going to tell you guys what it's more like to me, just for the spectacle standpoint. Do y'all remember when Floyd and McGregor started that shit up?
So I think it's bigger than that because it's a real fight.
Yeah, no, which is my point, is exactly that. Like, this is what we would have wanted if Conor McGregor was an actual fighter. The thing that I think was and I got, you know, I'll get a little more in depth into it after this. The thing that I discussed on another show earlier on the Audible Sports podcast was, you know, somebody asked, does Canelo see Bud as a threat, right? And for me, it's not as though Canelo doesn't see him as a threat or doesn't think he can lose. It's more like does Canelo not understand that he isn't a threat and that he's more of an obstacle, like a rock in your shoe or a fly in the kitchen while you're cooking. You know what I mean? The thing that Canelo wants the most, Bud is in the way of, which is immortality, which is another, you know, $250,000. Not that Bud is the most dangerous fighter that he's going to face. It's two different ways of thinking about it. When I saw the face-off earlier today after the weigh-ins, of course, both guys are slim. Both guys made weight. Both guys are cut to the T because, of course, you know, they are that water drain. But then, you know, everybody doesn't know that boxing, the fight starts before they get into the ring. Canelo reaches out for Bud's hand and makes him shake it. You know what I'm saying? Then he holds it just a little longer for all the cameras to see that it's Canelo's two hands over his one. Bud walks away. Canelo does the shadow boxing. Yeah, more pictures for Canelo because it's my show. I'm the A side of the card, right? Then Canelo goes and does a little dancing. He's not even worried. He's not famished from being dehydrated. He is just fine. And then we're going to see tomorrow, after they rehydrate, who's really the bigger man. Pause. But that's the truth. It's as if Canelo understands his role in this fight. He's going to play to it. There's Apollo Creed, and then there's the real Muhammad Ali. And Bud Crawford is neither one of those. But at the same time, you know, when the fight happens, Canelo is representing a brand of boxing that even Bud Crawford isn't there. Like, Canelo Alvarez is the face of Mexican boxing. Not even the face of Mexican boxing. Just Hispanic boxing, period. Anything below Texas, you put Canelo's name on it, They're going to cut on a TV in the middle of the barrio and watch it. But Bud Crawford is not necessarily representing America. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference. Canelo is representing a culture in its whole self. But Bud is representing Omaha. You know what I'm saying? Representing the old boy from Omaha in real life. And I think that's one of the cooler parts of it.
Bobby, what about you? What's your biggest thoughts here as far as like I said, the biggest boxing fight since when?
I mean, I guess you have to take everything into consideration. I mean, I would shout on mentioning the McGregor, but obviously that was, more the Floyd fight and stuff. So it's really hard to say. But personally, like for me, that is what Spence versus Crawford was. Like this was the big fight that you wanted. These two guys were finally fighting, and then Bud just walks through him. And to me, that's why it had that big moment, because it just, you thought it was going to be a crazy 50-50 back and forth fight. And Bud just had his way with him. So.
Is this bigger than Tank Garcia? Gotta be, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And
bigger than Tyson Usyk, Fury and Usyk?
Yes.
It feels bigger mainly because it's in Vegas. All those lacked the atmosphere kind of, and at least you're gonna get some of that on Saturday.
So let me lay down the things that I put in my notes because I was like I said I did Bobby's show because he asked me like a week ago to do it, and I was like I just going to get some stuff together that I think is important. And the big thing that jumped out to me first as I was kind of just writing stuff down. You got to think about the weight class challenge. Okay, Bud is coming up 2 divisions to meet him at 168. That's no small feat for a guy who is a naturally diminutive fighter.
And didn't look great the last fight out when he went up.
No, it did not. When he fought Madrimov looked bigger. Madrimov looked like he took a bit of an advantage in the weight section, but Crawford is such a good boxer. Just straight flat out knowledge and how to execute. He's just a good boxer. He got Madrimov that way. Now, the thing is, in the 4-belt era, he's trying to do something that nobody's ever done and be in like all of these divisions. Roy Jones was the next closest thing to doing that, but Roy Jones met Antonio Tarver, and that completely derailed that whole thought. The next big thing is that even pay-per-views don't reach everywhere. You know what I mean? Netflix does. Okay. That's why when you go on Netflix and you scroll long enough, you start seeing those Bollywood movies. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if some of them are really good too. You should check them out. That's when you just start seeing those Indian movies. This is a global phenomenon we're about to take place in. What's my guy that nobody likes who did the thing on Netflix too a couple months ago and he fought Mike Tyson?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul broke Netflix. Okay. So they have been, and these are reports from numerous sources. They have rebolstered. I got it on my phone. They have rebolstered and upheaved multiple farms for data and storage banks, electronic storage banks in places like Tempe, Arizona, New Mexico, and they are using them to, keep the surge of people who will be streaming the service Netflix all night long. It's going to be, and it's going to just kick up right there at 1:00 when the main event starts. So it's way bigger than most people think. And then just to throw in there, the co-main event. Yep, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Fernando Vargas Jr. and Callum Walsh. That's a good fight. That is a good fight. Fernando Vargas Jr. and Callum Walsh right there.
It's a good fight, but the only reason it is there is because at the co-main is because Dana White is co-promoting it. So
Yes, and then that was my last point about the whole thing, and that's pretty much sums it up for me. Is Dana White has decided to step in and use the UFC style incentive for the undercard fighters. $100,000 in bonuses for fight of the night and performance of the night. So this incentivizes the undercard for them to not pussyfoot around the ring, to be serious, to go toe-to-toe with the man across the ring from you. You want $100,000 plus the money you've already signed for? Go in there and show us what you got. Don't play around. Go in there and try to be fight of the night. Go in there and show us, show Turkey Al Sheik that you can do it. We watch UFC and we see and even on like the Contender Series, right? Those guys are dying for those contracts. Those guys on the Contender Series are begging to get out of these small town promotions in the middle of nowhere, fighting in bars for 45, 55, 100 people. They want to go to the UFC. So we see some of the best knockouts, some of the quickest finishes on TV whenever we watch the Dana White Contender Series. This type of $100,000 purse that you can be attached to your fight will incentivize boxers to do the same exact thing. We're not going to see very much dancing around the ring because somebody's going to want that money. So, there's a lot of big pieces in here, bro. A lot of big pieces in.
But imagine being John Silver, Diego Lopez, and hearing about a bonus that is twice the amount that they can get coming from out of your boss's mouth. The fucking irony is just sad, man.
Hey, look, bro. What's my man? El Cucuy boxing now. You playing? It may be some of what I promise you. Some of what we are about to witness as Turkey Al Sheik steps into this vein of putting stuff on Netflix. UFC starts putting stuff on Paramount. We're going to see some names, bro. I guarantee we're going to see some names of people who are going to step into the boxing ring to try to get to the point where these type of bags are going to send them off into their twilight, straight up. And for $100K, I'm gonna go try and knock it. I'm trying to knock somebody out. Well, I will risk getting myself knocked out for that reason too.
The interesting thing that Dana let on about is like for the future of this, basically what Zuffa Boxing is going to be is a Contender Series style. And that isn't what it was originally billed as. Like before, he was talking about almost competing as a different promotion. And now it's changed to, I'm going to actually make Turkey's feeder league and then be able to put these, guys on his, like that's what they're essentially fighting for, is to be on a Turkey Al Sheik card. So it keeps changing in real time. It's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited, bro. I can't lie. I feel like we've been talking about this for a year now, at least.
Bobby, you had some thoughts here, and Dana was asked last night at the presser about this Ali act and kind of dodged it. The best, in the Dana White way. You had mentioned earlier you had some thoughts here on this whole Ali act and this boxing, and you even alluded to like, I feel bad for the UFC fighters having to watch Dana promote, and Turkey's obviously helping this thing out as well, getting the money, the $100 million, $100,000 bonuses and things like that. And that whole conference, like Turkey's like, Dana's got a big announcement to make. He's going to make that right now. And then Dana's like, we'll see you tomorrow, fuckers. That's it's awkward. There's not you can tell there's still some difference in step between Turkey and Dana while they're still promoting this thing. It seems kind of clunky as well.
You got to understand, Dana's been selling the UFC to the masses in a
this has been a carbon cut. How they promote the UFC is how they're promoting this. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yep.
It's almost been depressing. I mean, legitimately, you go from having the same voiceover guy announcing the press conference to Dana White coming up going, who's got the first question? And awful audio. Like they didn't, you know, they skimped on that. And I don't know. It's surreal to me. And I was hearing all week that Turkey has been pulling legit boxing credentials from legit journalists who have been in the game for years, because obviously they wanted to weed out any questions like the one that was asked. And it was just so amazing to watch a real question get asked and Dana not even being able to answer it. I mean, he literally could not answer it on the fly. So he like threw an interview to the guy. We know that interview probably won't happen. And I loved how Sean just completely threw it back at him and was like, America, baby. Like, you know, I can. And he was trying to preface it like it wasn't a boxing question when it was 100% a boxing question.
100%.
It was just not a boxing question that they wanted to hear. And they're going to find out real quickly that they can't silence the boxing media and have them on a leash like they have all of these MMA guys on. I mean, they pretty much know what they can and can't do. And if you're coming over claiming you're going to be taking over the sport, I think there's going to be, you know, people that have been working the game a long time that are generally going to have some pushback for it. And that was the first opportunity for it right there. So it made the whole press conference worth watching. I would recommend everyone go back and watch it. If not, I retweeted the actual clip on my Twitter, so you can find it there. But we definitely need more of this because they're going to paint it like it's some good thing, and it absolutely isn't. You know, sign the petition for it, against it, and, you know, don't let them just get away with it.
Yeah, for those that don't know, so like the Ali Act is pretty much so your promoter can't. It's so that it separates promotion and the fighter as well, in the manager. There isn't one in the UFC. That's why a lot of the managers are in the UFC's back pocket and those types of things. And that's why it's created pretty much a monopoly for the UFC, and they're trying to take that, you know, TKO is trying to take that away so they can do the same thing in boxing over and over again. But it was a great question. Speaking of great questions, let's get down to the brass knucks here, boys, so we can get up out of here and enjoy the rest of our Friday nights. Bobby, I'll start with you. Who wins, Canelo or Crawford?
I mean, I love the fact that Bud's been waiting on this for 2 years. He's actually been waiting on it longer. It seems like he's absolutely put the weight on the
he
right
looked
way.
bigger. He looked bigger at the weigh-ins.
Yeah, no, he definitely seems like he put in the weight the right way. I am confident he has put in the work, and he looked so damn confident at that face-off there. He was locked in. Canelo was trying to play his, you know, fancy games, and that shit just did not work. Bud was looking through his soul, and I undoubtedly think that Crawford is going to whoop his fucking ass. Give me Terrence Bud Crawford all fucking day.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
What about you, Whit? Who's the favorite? I'm trying to find out.
Caveat. The main reason, like, I don't think Canelo's fought anyone legit in quite a long time. I think he's earned this with the, you know, strength of schedule in his favor. That's what you're able to do in boxing. You know, he's been running from Benavidez forever, but legitimately now he's actually going to fight a really good guy. And I just do not think he is taking Crawford seriously. I think he's overlooking him, considering this another payday, because he also has Turkey that's already signed him for 4 fights. And I think Bud is just far more motivated than Canelo at this point, who's just like fighting for money. Bud's fighting for pride and legacy, and he's going to put it on him.
Yeah, I saw a stat that's like Canelo, like Canelo's making like 140 more million than Bud. Canelo is the favorite at -160, so it's close.
That shows respect right there. Normally Canelo would be far more favored, you know.
Yeah, he's opened up at minus. Canelo was the minus 225. So it's gone. It's gone down, and Canelo is now the favorite at like I said, minus 170. Bud the dog at plus 140. What about you? Who you got winning this the mega fight here?
All right, man. So y'all know me, man. It's very tough, and this is one where we will see the idea of race being thrown around. Mexicans are going to go for Canelo. Will Americans go with Crawford? I don't know. Omaha.
Oh yeah, America
Omaha,
all the way.
Midwest,
sure.
baby. We Midwest
Right.
up in this.
Right. There you go. That Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska, for sure is riding with. I honestly feel like this is going to be, if they did it right, if they met, if they whisper into the right judge's ears, I feel like this is going to be a draw, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like it's going to be a draw. I feel like they're going to want to do what was a possibility with Fury Usyk, and how we would have gotten 3 fights out of it had Fury not been completely punished in the second fight. I really, really have a handle on the idea that Bud is such a thought-provoking fighter that eventually the style, and of course he can fight orthodox and unorthodox, that he may just catch Canelo off guard. But Canelo having so much experience, so much under his belt, being the more comfortable fighter in this weight class, I don't think he's going to give up very much room. I think it'll end up being a stalemate. And I'm going to tell you why I feel like it's even going to go 12 rounds. When Canelo fought Jaime Munguia in 24, I think it was. When he fought Jaime Munguia in 24, in like April or May, I can't remember which one. The 9th, 10th round, Canelo had Jaime Munguia stonewalled, standing up on his feet, and then Canelo caught him. They showed this later on. Canelo caught him, stood him back up, backed away from him, took his foot off the gas, and towards the end of the fight, he said, "This is where I wanted you." You know what I'm saying? Because Canelo understands the idea of the spectacle itself and his opponent. Jaime Munguia was in that same space that Canelo was when he fought Floyd. So he saved him just so you could get to that 12th round. Because if you didn't get to that 12th round, if you would have got knocked out before that 10th, 11th, 12th round, you wouldn't have got the bag. You would have got it would have been a whole difference of like $250,000 or something crazy. And I feel like even though we get in this animosity between Canelo and Bud, I feel like if Canelo begins to take advantage of Bud, we will get a very similar essence of, hey, let me back up a little bit just so we can prolong it and make this worth the while. You know what I mean? Do I think it's going to happen? No, but I know Canelo is just that intelligent in like mid-fight. Okay, let me not murder him, but let me just back it up so we can make it to 12, make it convincing, make people have a reason to watch it one more time so we can make more money. And that's what I think is going to happen. I love Bud Crawford. I want to see him win. That's what the heart wants, but the head says Canelo by split decision. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's not by split decision, I think it's a straight draw. And that's definitely what I'm going with this one. I want to see Bud do the impossible. I do. I want to see it so bad. But the way that the judges is set up, he's gonna have to knock him out. Is the main thing. If he does not knock Canelo out, the fight will not end in his favor at all. It's either going to be all Canelo or a draw, and I can guarantee that.
So you got draw or Canelo winning.
Draw or Canelo winning for sure.
Bud 7th round TKO.
Wow.
I really think Bud Wade hit the weight scales. He looks healthy. Like this is the most he's ever weighed at 163. So him and Canelo weighed the same. I was trying to get the age stats. I didn't know who. I think
Canelo 2 years older.
Huh?
But it's 2 years older.
That's fucking insane. Canelo's just been fighting for 50 years, I feel like.
But Canelo was fighting at like 16 and they was lying.
I feel like Canelo been around. Yeah, we've been watching Canelo fight since he was 10 years old on a pay-per-view. Right. It's wild to think that. Hey, we USA in this hoe, baby. Give me Bud Crawford. Give me Crawford to win. Midwest stick together. Nebraska's own. All you can say. I think I'm here. I'm Bud Crawford is going to put him down tomorrow night. Yeah, I think he's going to shock the world. He's going to shock the world.
That's some good money if you put it down, though, and he does win.
Well, I'm literally going to wait until they're walking because I know money will slowly keep dumping on Canelo. So, yeah, if I'm going to bet it, I'm betting it during the walkouts. Like right when they hit, the Mexican music.
Yeah.
That's when I'll be pulling it up.
Yeah, get your Modelos out, boys, tomorrow early and sit on get ready to maybe some tequila or whatever it is for UFC Noche and Crawford and Canelo. So, Bobby, we'll go around the horn real quick. We'll start with you. Any last words before we get up out of here?
No, I mean, enjoy the fully slated Saturday of high-end combat. Should be very entertaining.
Yeah, plus, you got a little sprinkle in college football.
Yeah. Shout out to Jalen Carter for spitting on Dak Prescott. That's Patrick Mahomes' only chance is to spit it at the floor and hope Jalen Carter gets ejected from the game. Go Birds.
Whit, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Hey man, this is one of those. This is one for the history books. I was not alive to see the Rumble in the Jungle. No, I did see Mike Tyson lose to Buster Douglas. Yes, I also saw Evander Holyfield lose to Lennox Lewis. We
saw Tyson get his ear bit off.
Right. I also saw Tyson get his ear bit off.
I mean, Holyfield get his ear bit.
I was gonna say that for my biggest fight is the ear biting.
Right. And then somewhere in all of this, we just saw, all the Fury, the Anthony Joshuas, the Dubois, the Usyks, all of this stuff is happening. And then don't forget ESPN put out their top 25 boxes of the last 25 years. Canelo's down here at number 5 on that one right there. Okay.
That's surprising.
Bud is number 7 on there. Okay.
What's the top 5 here? Floyd's number 1.
Floyd's 1.
Pacquiao's
2. B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins, very much so dangerous, number 3.
Roy
Usyk,
Jones,
number 4. And then 5 is Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, I would have said Roy Jones, but maybe that was a little bit before the last 25 years.
Yeah, they got Roy down here at 9.
Okay.
Yeah, Roy at 9. Yeah, but it's real. It's real, guys. I can't wait. I'm excited. So is my son. That's why he's over here popping fans. Where them fans at? But it's going down, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna cook a steak and I'm gonna drink some beer.
All right. My final thought is things we don't fucking need. We don't need Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. Get that out. Get rid of all this extra bullshit out. We just want real fights like we're going to see on Saturday night, Canelo Crawford. Nobody asked to watch Mike Tyson, and we'll probably get to see his ass again in Floyd Mayweather. Don't need it. Don't want it. Nobody asked for it. Don't care about it. It's the only time I'm going to talk about it. It's right now is just a bitch about how we don't fucking need it. I'd rather watch Jake Paul and somebody fucking fight before I watch.
I was going to say,
I don't need to see 2 geriatric fucks fight. If I wanted to watch 2 geriatric fucks fight, I'd go to my nursing home and steal one Jello from the other Jello and tell them that they stole each other's Jello and watch them fight. If I want to watch 2 geriatric fight, I don't need to see it. That's it.
Hey, listen, I don't want to see 2 geriatric fights either. Watch the display tomorrow. If we're watching the fights at the same time, watch how somehow, some way, we're gonna find Jake Paul in the crowd acting a damn fool if Canelo wins. Watch what I say.
I don't think he's allowed. He's not allowed in. Dana's not gonna allow him. I guess Turkey and Jake are friends, but maybe
Turkey and Jake are friends. Yeah, they're gonna
hates Jake.
He'll be in the
Jake kissed the ring.
Press box. So. He'll be in the press box, tucked away, right until the very end, right. And then you'll see the walk down. You'll see him come to the ring. You'll see him spark it up. Y'all did this on Netflix. We could do it on Netflix again. Shut down the internet. Me and you, blah blah blah. 1-on-1, mano a mano. Watch. Mark my words. Mark my words. Jake Paul will make a guest appearance if Canelo wins this fight tomorrow.
All right, we'll see. All right, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. We'll be back at our regular scheduled time next Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Enjoy the fights.
Enjoy the fights.
Oh, great.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.